So in this problem set, we'll have several different types of ionic compounds mixed together. And so the big thing here will be figuring out which type of naming system to use. The first problem gives you calcium nitride, and we're writing the formula. Well, we see that calcium is a metal, nitrogen is a nonmetal. Remember that ending IDE was changed. So even though it says nitride, that's the element nitrogen. So we have calcium and nitrogen. Because this is not a transition metal, we didn't need a Roman numeral. And we have a metal and nonmetal. This is going to be an ionic compound. To find the formula of an ionic compound, first we figure out the charges on the ions for these elements. Calcium is 2+. The nitride ion is 3- for their charges. So we have Ca2+ and N3-. Next, we'll take the charges. We'll swap, drop, ignore. So you take the 2+, swap it to this guy, drop it to the bottom, ignore the plus or minus. That means that we'll take a 2 and write it on the bottom of N when we write the formula. On this one, we'll take 3-, swap it to calcium, drop it to the bottom, ignore the plus or minus. So that means we'll take a 3 and write it on the bottom of Ca. So the formula will be Ca3N2. Remember, the 2 from the charge here went to the bottom of that guy. 3 from this charge here went to the bottom of this guy. So again, that formula is Ca3N2. Well, let's look at this one. Now we have FeBr2, and we want to find the name. You might think, oh, well, that's just iron bromide. But it's a little more complicated. We want to make sure we use the correct naming system. So we have to look at these elements. Fe on the periodic table, it is a metal, but it's a transition metal. It can be 2+ or 3+. Br is a nonmetal. So this is a metal and nonmetal, that means it's ionic. But because this is a transition metal, we need Roman numerals that tell us the charge in the name. So we need to figure out the charge on Fe. Well, we can kind of reverse swap, drop, ignore. The charge on bromide is always going to be -1. And you can see here there was no number added to Fe. But look, there was a 2 added to bromide. That tells us that Fe was 2+. So this is iron with a 2+ charge. That means its name is going to be iron 2. Take this element, change the ending to IDE. Bromine becomes bromide. This compound is iron 2 bromide. So you need to figure out, is it ionic? This has a metal and a nonmetal, so yes it is. And does that metal need Roman numerals? It did, so we needed to figure out the charge. And then you put that charge as Roman numerals in parentheses after the metal. Notice the second element does not need Roman numerals, just the first. There's no di, no tri, no prefixes, just iron 2 bromide.